In this video, we are going to look at some of the page layout functionality in Excel. I rarely use this anymore. I find myself not printing very often from Excel spreadsheets, but in the past I used to print my exams out of Excel spreadsheets. I'd use Excel to randomize various parameters and so on, and then I use these features pretty much all the time. Okay, so here is a spreadsheet just so we can explore a little bit. It's got some data, randomly generated data in it. Let's see, we've got 52 columns of data. We've got a customer ID. We've got 326 rows of data. So it's a fairly large set of data. Okay, so where we're going to explore is the page layout ribbon. So I can get to the page layout ribbon by clicking up here on page layout. On a Windows machine, I can also do Alt, which brings up all these keyboard shortcuts, P, and that gives me the page layout. Again, I can type any of these characters. It tells me what I can use, but I can type these characters and it will bring up various things. The main place we're going to spend time is in this page setup in sort of the top left corner, not quite the corner, but close. The top left, the page setup section. We've got lots of drop-down buttons here. I'll talk through them so we can see what they are, but we also have this little expander button, and if we click on that, it brings up a window which sort of gives access to everything. Okay. All right, so first thing that I tend to do when I am going to print is I decide what my data is. And let's say, for example, we're not going to print this entire data set. We're going to print, say, the first 20 columns. Now, sometimes, and this is a choice, sometimes I'm going to choose to include the headers in my data set itself. Sometimes I'm not. The reason I might not is that I might want those headers to appear on every page that's being printed. So if I'm printing multiple pages and I want this first row of headers to show up on every page, I need to do that in a slightly different way. Equally, if let's say the customer ID is something which needs to appear with the data all the time, I might choose to select that separately as well. So I'm going to choose my data set. I'm going to choose the first 20 columns. There we go. There's 20 columns. Here's the rows. And I set my print area to those. Okay, so if I look at a print preview quickly here, let's go there, print. We can see we've just got the data. There's, in this case, quite a few pages of this. Not worry about it yet. Okay, so that's setting the print area. That's key first step. The next step on this is to choose our orientation. I'm going to go for a landscape orientation, so it's sort of printing horizontally on the page as opposed to vertically. And then I'm going to choose to print titles. So what print titles? We can see here our print area. We can see the print titles. We can repeat certain rows at the top. By clicking the row, it's chosen to repeat row 1 at the top, and columns on the left. So column A is going to be my column to repeat. And again, if I had lots of customer data, names, and whatever else, I might have multiple columns here. So we're going to click OK here. And now if I look at my print preview, let's go to print. Here we are. You can see the customer ID and the data shows up. And as we have multiple pages, different customer IDs, the data shows up everywhere, and so on. Now we're in the right-hand part of the data set going up to column 20, and the customer IDs appear as well. So that's one useful feature. The next useful feature that I find in this, and again, I've got to click on this little drop down here, is headers and footers. I have choices here. I can have different odd and even pages, different first pages. I can scale and so on. What I like to use are the custom headers and custom footers. So let's look here, custom header. And this allows me to do things like include the page number. So let's say my header, I'm going to include on the right-hand side the page number hyphen, and this one's the number of pages. Okay, so that means that in the top right, we're going to have the page number and the number of pages. We're going to put a custom footer. Let's say we put here in the center. We're going to go for the file path and the file name. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Again, we can see now we've got the file path and the file name, and we've got the page number. If I scroll through, oops, and I forgot the hyphen, you can see here because I got 220. Oops, let's go back in. Header, footer, custom header. There we go. Let's try that. 1 of 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So I can get custom headers. So these are features that I probably use all the time. Sometimes I will insert page breaks. So inserting page breaks lets me decide, as opposed to Excel decide, where the next page starts. This used to be really useful for me when I was writing exams, because I would choose to have this two questions on this page and one question on the next page and so on. And so I could control where the page is broke, and I could make sure that an entire question was always on the same page and so on. Beyond that, I probably don't use very much of this. And like I said, I don't use very much of this at all anymore. Again, you've got letter choice, you've got A4 choice. You can change the paper sizes. You can change the margins. There's some defaults here. You can choose custom margins and so on. I hope that's a helpful exploration of the page layout functionality in Excel.